Welcome everybody. This is Steve Kuchin from San Diego. Welcome to Saturday Salivation Training. And today I want to talk about two things. Today I want to talk a little bit about Aalere Bracelet, and also I want to talk today about our wonderful youth crystals. Statements made in this presentation have not been evaluated by the FDA. Nothing in this presentation should be construed as diagnosing, prescribing, or treating disease. It is presented for education only. We must legally warn you that if you're ill, have any disease, are pregnant or nursing, you should consult your medical doctor before attempting any natural or herbal program. I just wanted to bring attention to our new Aalere bracelet that we have. It is made out of stainless steel, and it has in it anti-2G, anti-3G, anti-5G. Also, it has in it the Schumann frequency. The Schumann frequency is what you call the Earth's frequency. We imbued the bracelet with the Earth's frequency. So you see, people actually don't get grounded in this world. Everybody's wearing shoes and are insulated from Mother Earth. Especially summertime, folks, if you can get onto the beach or get onto the grass, onto the playing field, get your bare feet onto the ground, because Mother Earth will provide you with free electrons, free antioxidants. So that's part of our frequency that we have in the bracelet. Also, we have in the bracelet vitamins, the frequency of vitamins and minerals, like for example, vitamin C, and also we have an antioxidant boost in the bracelet. This bracelet is very important. It has in it the hydrogen frequency. Hydrogen frequency, we're going to get to in a more in-depth slide to describe its benefits, but it's remarkable. The other day, I was sitting there outside on my veranda, playing with my smartphone, and in the sun. I wanted to get some sun, and I sat there with my one bracelet on my left wrist, and I sat down out there for 1 hour and I think 45 minutes at one sitting. I mean, direct sun. I was with my face back. I was in my little veranda chair there, and I came inside the house, and I said, "What the heck is going on?" I looked at the mirror. I didn't have a burn. I didn't have, I barely, the skin was pink. It was just barely pink. And I mentioned this to Josh, and he said, well, the antioxidant quality in the bracelet is working. I said, I think it was like, for me, it's amazing, because an hour it's recorded direct in sun. I mean, it was beating down on me. It was like a little bit, well, like 1 o'clock, so the sun was quite intense. I was amazed. I was amazed with that. Just one of the things that happened with me as a story. So, and how do these frequencies work? Well, our cells, they have little antennas on the surface of the cells. And these cells are very sensitive to these energy fields that is around them, whatever it is. And in the case of 5G, could be aberrant frequencies that are affecting our cells in an adverse way. Like for example, we have iron that hemoglobin carries in our blood. This iron is actually dislodged into the bloodstream, and it causes our immune system to be stimulated, and it causes a thing called a cytokine storm. That means there's a continuous activation of the immune system because of these aberrant frequencies that alter our metabolism, alter how our cells function. So imagine having our immune system on 24/7 alert because of this thing. And we're constantly bombarded with cell phone towers. With our, we can't get away from our cell phones, right? There is many things that television, computers, Wi-Fi, and now they're going to blanket the whole planet with 5G. Unbelievable. So our bodies and cells, they respond much more to subtle stimuli rather than the violent stimuli. Like this involves feather-like gentle applications, and this is what our frequencies are: gentle, feather-like applications. And what they do, they stimulate the cells to do repair, and they deliver electrons to the site of inflammation. Our usual way to do battle, like for example, in the war on cancer, well, we lost that war. Why use a hammer when a feather will do, says Dr. Ashman. Now, this is a cell structure. You have the genome here in the purple, and you have the ligands, the signaling messengers that come, and this is the receptor. blue little lock and key type mechanism on the surface of the cell. This is the antenna I was telling you about. So whatever is outside that cell signals, protein signaling molecules go to your genome. The genome produces, that it's like a factory, produces in response protein messengers to activate cellular structure. And this is the process of our cells, is what happens in our cells. So us being inundated with 5G, it's really, really, I mean, 2G and 3G is bad enough, but now 5G is about 15,000 times more intense. And it's also the wave trough. The wave trough of 2G and 5G is quite large. So when the cell phone tower signals that to your cell phone, right, the wave is quite large. But with 5G, the intensity is 15 times larger in strength. And of course, this inundation of the cell phone is going to be everywhere. At football games, they're going to have smart cars, and this is one of the main driving forces. They want to have smart cars running around. And that is absolutely lunacy, in my opinion. Airports, they have at the where people live in the residential areas. Like imagine New York, how many cell phones are activated, per second? Millions are activated per second in trains, or even out in the sticks where we have cell phone towers. They want to run towers over there right to your outside barn in your farmhouse. Unbelievable. This is an example of what aberrant forces or these frequencies do. Look at this tree. The DNA structure of this tree was altered. And that's because you see there's a smart meter right here, okay? This actually is what is happening to our bodies every single day. And this is another thing. This is the cause of Rouleau, is the clumping of our red blood cells. So when these red blood cells clump like this, it's harder to carry oxygen and nutrition to where you're supposed, especially oxygen. It is harder for them to carry nutrition. So if your blood is coagulated like this, it's very difficult. You could get, for example, strokes and all kinds of different things because of this blood coagulation. Now, this guy, his name is Dr. Lasivek. Sorry, Doc, if I pronounce it wrong. This guy is a prodigy of Nikola Tesla. He's been studying this thing about life force for over 40 years, right? So he actually took a picture of an actual, these are red blood cells, and how it actually looks in the electron universe. So you see there's a 0 point. There's 0 point in this cell, right? And it has a 0 electron potential. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I'm diving deep down into this, is because you see aberrant frequencies are made up of light. They're actually photons. Just as this is made up of light photons, so is aberrant frequencies. What is the difference between this cell and an aberrant molecule? An aberrant molecule that is non-centered and not aligned, and it's in its off center, is not balanced, right? So we have a zero called the 0 point, electrical point, and interconnected magnetic points is the God field or source. You see the center of this, this God field or source point is actually where the energy of this molecule comes from. The God field or source point is where all the energy of this molecule comes from. And in your body, this God field is all connected together. And it actually has an awareness of what's going on. You see, life all emanates from this point. And when you take a look at electrical current down a wire, for example, there are actually, it's like not an electron flow, but it is actually spinning light rings that are flowing down the electrical wire. There's a rhythmic balance and interchange between these molecules. It's in rhythm, it's in sync, right? So let's take a look at what happens when this goes out of sync. Here's a balanced human cell. A 0 point, this is what it's supposed to look like, and meets like a radiation field right here, okay? So this balanced human cell here is what we want in our bodies, okay? And when you meet some like a molecule that is not 0 pointed, it's uncentered, like for example, man-made frequencies are all uncentered. Everything, lights, everything, incandescent light bulbs, there's a pulsation that happens off of these light bulbs, right? Anything that's man-made is non-centers. Now, doesn't that blow your mind? The only thing that's centered is the sun. The radiation from the sun is centered, okay? And the radiation from the planet, because that's all we had when we were running around with clubs and living in a cave, right? We had the radiation from the sun and the earth, and we didn't even have moccasins. This is what our world is turning into. Now they're going to inundate us with 5G. And this inundation is going to kill off, for example, honeybees, our food source on our planet, right? So what does our Aalere bracelet do? It's sort of like sitting on the opposite side of a pond, right? The still pond, two people on two shores. And what happens is one person at the same time as the other person throws a rock into the water. You'll see a ripple effect going against each other, like towards each other. And when this ripple effect comes together, it nullifies the wave. That is the sole function, was actually one of the functions of our Aalere bracelet, is to actually change that aberrant frequency into a harmonious frequency that a body can handle. That's why, for example, I was sitting in the sun, and it helped me not burn for a bit. I'm not saying that it's a sunscreen or not. There's no claims or anything having to do with that. I'm just saying this is my testimony for my body, what happened with me. I was shocked when I looked in the mirror and says, what the heck is going on? You know, my skin was just like a little bit pink, but not red, not even red. So this also, so when this aberrant cell meets our cell, this is what happens to our human body, is our cells become aberrant also, and they stop doing, especially, for example, the outside of the membrane of a cell has to have like 139 millivolts potential. All these aberrant frequencies alter that potential. So what happens is more free radical damage occurs. And they have this is actually from PubMed.gov, the world's largest place where you can get like medical articles. And these rats were radiated with Wi-Fi. What happened to them? Well, the most important antioxidant that we have, glutathione, also superoxide dismutase and catalase, they were all reduced in value in the rat body. This is with radiation, with Wi-Fi radiation, right? Also, this Wi-Fi radiation caused an impairment of insulin secretion. That means your pancreas was not working as well as it's supposed to be, okay? So now this is having to do with, remember I was telling you how it changes the cells or alters the cells so it doesn't work correctly? And here's the resultant effect. What happens with this is changes these aberrant frequencies, change mitochondria. Mitochondria are energy units. You see we have two little mitochondria here in the middle of the cell, 1, 2. Well, these would be a numbered of 5,000 in the heart, for example, because that's the hardest working muscle that we have. 5,000 in one single cell, right? And we have trillions of cells in our heart, and 5,000 in each of those trillions of cells. It's just unbelievable. It's almost unfathomable how our human body works, right? So anyways, what happens with these aberrant frequencies is mitochondrial disease is caused, and this causes a vast array of harmful EMF caused mitochondrial disease. So it causes a vast array of diseases like fatigue, weakness, metabolic strokes, seizures, cardiomyopathy, arrhythmias, developmental and cognitive disabilities, diabetes, impairment of hearing, vision, growth, liver, gastrointestinal, and kidney function, and more. Now, if you take a look at that list of that, all those things that I just mentioned, that is a panorama of disease that occurs because of mitochondrial misfunction or not working optimally, right? We have in our uh, bracelet the frequency of hydrogen. Well, hydrogen activates our genome through this beautiful pathway called the NRF2 pathway. It activates glutathione, catalase, and superoxide dismutase. Glutathione, activated in the liver, is so important because it neutralizes free radicals there. It's a master antioxidant, and it helps to prevent the deterioration of vitamin C and vitamin E, glutathione. So this is what the hydrogen, and there's many articles and many studies on hydrogen that you guys can look up. This is yours truly here with the Aalere bracelet before and after. You see all the inflammation on the upper torso and the back, how it turned around in, I think it was 10-15 minutes, wearing the two Aalere bracelets, one on the wrist, left wrist, and one on the right ankle. And the reason I did that was to activate all the acupuncture points, meridian lines in the body. I wanted to activate them all. I wanted to see what the maximum effect would be, and this is what occurred. This is the extremities, and I was sporting that day a sunburn around my knees, and you see that even the sunburn, the Aalere bracelet reduced the inflammatory process from the sun. It was amazing. Very good friends of mine, Anita, Trudy, Irma, and Mervyn. Anita, her BP, blood pressure, this is before and after with the two Aalere bracelets. They were so impressed with what happened with the Aalere bracelet with Anita, because Anita had well, let's say she had a heart difficulty, right? And what occurred in the period of 4 or 5 days, her energy came back. There's a lot of good things. Strength came back, and she was her vibrant self once again, right? When I did a test on her, because she was wearing the bracelet now for 2 weeks, and then I put a second bracelet on, her BP stayed the same. Everybody's body's different. But Trudy's, it was really good at 119/80. It went actually down to 108/73. Now that is an excellent blood pressure. And Marilyn, who had very high blood pressure, 148/104, came down to 137/90. So this is one example of their testimonies of what happened wearing the bracelet. I have a doctor, a very, very good doctor, my chiropractor. He's 57 years old, a real athlete. And we did a strength test him with the before and after with the Aalere bracelet. Strength test before was 110. He squeezes a squeezing instrument, right? He pulled 110 pounds, and after was 120 pounds. 9% improvement. I did the same test. I pulled 70 pounds, and then my after was 80 pounds. So I had a 14% improvement in my strength. And this is, I even bought one of these instruments from Walmart. It would cost me 35 bucks. Not this one, because this is cost 250 bucks, but from Walmart, it did the same thing. And I checked between the instruments, and it worked really, really well. Now, I wanted to mention something having to do, I said we were going to talk about the youth crystals. Well, we have a product called the youth crystals, which is a tea, which is made out of baobab, made out of acerola cherry, rooibos tea, okay, L-glycine, lysine, proline, these main elements that produce collagen, right? We have in this hydrogen frequency, right? We have 191 amino acid frequency in there. It is really, really quite good. And this combination, the reason I'm saying this is because we have been finding that the combination of the youth crystals and the bracelet together are producing fantastic results. Just like the youth crystals and the gels, they do separately really, really well. We have gels that have also these frequencies in them, like testosterone frequency, also CBD frequency we have in one of our gels. But when you combine the youth crystals with any other product that we have, there's an enhancement that occurs, right? And this is the one example I got from Russia. This lady from Russia sent this, right? She is 65 years old, and she said she became more energetic, right? And unfortunately, she didn't see any weight loss. But look at this. Look at the body fat, what happened. Went from 44% to 23%, right? Now, this is a very important part. And this is what the youth crystals do. They hydrate the body into intracellular water. It went from 40% her actually water content, went to 51%. That's a 10% increase. And we have found through clinical trials with an Australian doctor that there's actually, it was a 5% increase across the board with people. This is immense because our cells, even if the person is showing, like for example, edema, like a swelling of ankles or something like that with lacking circulation throughout the body, right? This is an indication of not being hydrated, even though they're waterlogged on the outside of the cell, because that you see that's water on the outside of the cell, not inside the cell. If all that water was inside the cell would be absorbing nutrition, giving off all the garbage that they produce because of metabolism, right? So they have to get rid of toxins and waste because of metabolism. Free radicals have to be excreted. When a cell is hydrated, you get this, right? So, and also her metabolic age, this is after a 4-month period. They use crystals in the morning and at night. You start out with the youth crystals just in the morning only, because you watch for any detox symptoms, because it is quite a unique product and produces homeostasis in the body. So first thing in the morning, once a day, and then after, if you see no production of any kind of detox symptoms, like upset stomach or, like even diarrhea or something like that, that's the extreme. You probably won't get that. But anyways, any kind of detox symptoms, if you're into the health field, you understand what I mean. You just do it once a day. Well, this lady did it twice a day. And we have another crystal product called the Brain. She did it in the afternoon. So she did in the morning and at night before she went to bed. And it really helps at nighttime because it helps you sleep better. And it also helps produce collagen at night. So this is what happened. Her metabolic age went from 80 to 50 years. And bone mass, which is really important for elderly people, went from 2.8 to 3.7. Amazing result. So this is what we have, folks, with our Aalere bracelet. And I wanted to express, I'm very happy to share this information because it's a one-of-a-kind bracelet on the planet. It helps protect from 5G. And as you can see, these aberrant frequencies, we have to be protected. And this is absolutely awesome to have. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open it up to questions before we get into comp-plan training, because I'd like to, if there's any questions out there from any new people about how to use the product or anything like that, please come forth and ask your question. I don't care how silly the question is or anything like that. It doesn't really matter. So is there anybody out there who wants to ask a question of what I talked about earlier?
Hey, Steve, it's Sue. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Just one question that comes up often, so I'm asking it on behalf of the team, is whether or not we can mix the different crystal formulations. And just from what I gathered from Dr. Sally and from Joss Daniel, is that it's not ideal, right? That they're programmed, the frequencies, the combinations, the ratios, it's all programmed as a complete unit. So ideally, we should take them separately. Is that what you understand, Steve?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. You want to get that 8-ounce container full of your frequencies and at like for the youth, which youth provides, right? And then at a separate time, like this lady took the Brain in before lunch, right? So that's the best way, Susan. Correct. Totally right. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
So, Steve, yeah, I was going to say another point that comes up when we follow up and check in with folks is sometimes they didn't understand about the advantage of the warm or hot water that you can drink, just enough that it's hot, but maybe you can explain that, and also the purity of the water in terms of the frequencies being optimized. If you can comment on the temperature effect and the water purity.
Absolutely. We used to say just throw it into any kind of water before, and then it was actually our Australian partners, distributors, say, you guys don't know anything about tea. Of course, they all came from England, remember? So these guys, they say put it into warm water, and of course there's a big duh, because the molecules are faster and they activate the crystals better, right? So it was actually like a 50% improvement in when you take warm water.
Someone has just prompted me to ask about the timing of coffee and youth crystals. How close together can you have those? Should they be separate in your morning routine or whenever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I take youth crystals right away, right? And then by the time I make my coffee, it takes about 10, 15 minutes to make the coffee. I go ahead and drink my coffee right after that. Not an issue. Coffee has tasted great, by the way, folks. If you haven't tried it, oh my God, this is the best tasting coffee on the. And this is not a sales pitch, because I used to drink coffee before when I smoked. Okay, I used to be a 2-pack a day, well, pack and a half a day guy, truck driver in Vancouver, Canada, right? So I stopped smoking in, I think, was 1985. And I stopped coffee because the two tasted beautiful together, right? So I stopped both. It wasn't until I started this coffee here, because pro and cons, I was about 6 months into it, and I know Josh had coffee. I said, yeah, coffee, and then I tried it, and I mixed it with MCT oil and grass-fed butter. I zhuzh it together. You don't need no milk, no cream. It is so gorgeous. I'll let you know, folks. And it's really healthy because it has ketones. Anybody who wants to do some weight loss program or anything like that, a little bit of fasting in the morning, that is exceptional. Yeah, that's what I have in the morning for breakfast is my youth crystals and coffee. I don't eat until after lunch myself.
Hey, Steve, this is Ray,
So go
and
ahead, Ray.
I approve that message.
Oh, good. Are you running for political office, Ray?
Yeah. I love the Salivation coffee, and I do exactly what you do. I have my youth crystals, and then I sip on that, and then I get my coffee all ready, and I have it usually about 10, 15 minutes later. And I'll tell you, there's no better way to start the day. And it also has helped my blood sugars as well. So I'm really, really pleased. And the coffee gives you a really nice, calm energy along with the youth crystals. So yeah, it's one heck of a combination. And I do exactly the same. I put the MTC oil and a little bit of butter and blend that up. Oh, you don't even need any cream. No cream needed at all. It's incredible. I love it. Yep. So I just wanted to pipe in there because, and also too, I believe it's been helping also with my body fat. My body fat's as good as when I was in my 30s, and I'm in my late 50s now. So I'm really, really pleased that you had spoken about the coffee and got my interest. And it's absolutely delicious. The best tasting coffee I've ever had in my life. And I'm hooked. I'm a Salivation coffee man now. And youth crystal man too. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking with it.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Steve, I think Shelley had a question texted here. If the hot water, like really hot water, would damage anything, but likely not, right? If you put really hot water?
No. I mean, the vitamin C in it, vitamin C might get damaged because of the hot water. But I would, what I do is just warm it up, so it's a nice warm thing, and then put it into container. But I've had a lot of times with hot water, it doesn't. The effectiveness for me is the same. Okay. Any more, guys? Any more questions, guys, or comments? Okay. So we'll go on to the comp plan. So those people, like I said, who are brand new and stuff, who don't want to hang around, that's totally fine.